Welcome to episode of Potion Sword Run. Original seed coming at you from my bedroom. Now, recently, with all the major layoffs in the game industry, I think there's an opportunity for a realignment when it comes to development. But before we begin, again, do not like this video. I am still wanted for stealing my neighbor's cats. They keep on knocking. Them in. Now, it is no surprise that AAA Gaming has been taking a hit lately. Games launching and failing right from the start. Skull and Bones, the Suicide Squad. All this money put into development and you don't get your return on investment. Whereas there's been AA games like Helldivers 2 that have exploded with success. Power World. Games with budgets that are very minimal when you compare it to the AAA games. Even games that are successful like Spider-Man 2 aren't really making the money that they need in order to keep on going. As you can see from the layoffs Insomniac just had. Even though they had banger after banger after banger except for Ratchet & Clank, which lost money, they still had to lay off people. But the thing is, it's not all, well, it's almost gloom and doom. Media Molecule was almost shut down. The people who made Little Big Planet, a huge hit for PlayStation, afterwards they couldn't really follow up on success, but they're still a very talented team, and they almost got the axe. Which leads me to other studios such as Saber and Toys for Bob. Now those two studios are going independent. Saber has bought their independence. I'm not quite sure what the deal is with Toys for Bob, but they were owned by Microsoft, which owned Activision. But instead of being closed, they were given their freedom. Now they look to work with Microsoft still because they need publishers, but at least now they're able to work independently and hopefully come out with another, hit. They came out with Spyro the Dragon. They also worked with other developers on Overwatch. They were like a support team after Spyro and Crash Bandicoot. Big hits. So hopefully they can capture that magic again at a smaller studio. I know they still have to work with publishers if they want to do like a bigger game, and that's why they're working on Microsoft. But it's still nice to see that they were able to get their independence. The same with Saber. Supposedly they bought themselves out of the Embracer Group, which is obviously in strains right now. Now, for those of you that don't know, the Embracer Group was a publisher that started buying up so many game studios, like out of nowhere, But it wasn't because they wanted to create great games. It's because they wanted to be bought out themselves by the Saudi government. Because the Saudi government is trying to get out of oil and trying to expand in everything. And one thing they're trying to expand in is video games. Now, the Embracer Group was hoping to get bought. Now, when they didn't get bought, shit hit the fan and they started laying off a lot of people. Closing studios, closing games. About 30 games have been canceled by them. So their bet didn't pay off. But it's good to see that some studios are able to get their independence again and hopefully produce games that are well worth it. For example, Saber Studios working on a couple of games that look pretty exciting coming out in 2024. One is John Carpenter game. There ain't really too much about it, but they look interesting to say the least. And the thing is, right now, it seems like people in the AA space are making interesting games. Indie developers are making interesting games, whereas AAA developers are pretty much putting out bloated cinematic films. You get to play a little bit, and then the rest of it just put your controller down and look at the beautiful scenes. Button match, quick time events type things. They have no innovation anymore. They're pretty much played out. Now, it isn't to say that there isn't room for a good AAA game out there. If they make it right, then obviously. But right now, it seems that all the good ideas, all the new mechanics and everything else is coming out on the AAA. Like, they're the ones who are having success right now. And it's good to see that they're breaking off from these big publishers and, are able to create, hopefully, the games that they want to create now. So, right now, you're seeing a lot of videos talking about, the big video game crash is happening, everyone's losing their jobs. But I think it's just a realignment of things. AAA gaming got out of control. not just budget wise, but scope wise. Like, they didn't really know what to do with the AAA games anymore. They just kind of make them big, make them games as a service, and there you go, guys. Hopefully they, someone picks them up and they stick, with the general public. But that's not a way to make video games. You can't, copy and paste other games. And that's what I like about the AA scene. They don't do copy and paste for the most part. They have their own little ideas, and sometimes they hit big. And even if they don't, so long as the studio is able to not go out of business because they gamble too much on AAA, they don't have to make all the money, so long as they make enough money to create their next game. So the state of the AA industry, the state of the indie scene looks healthy, looks good. And the fall of AAA is among us. But it's not going to last forever. These layoffs, these realignments are going to make sure that they get their studios back in line. Especially Sony studios, who are spending too much money on their games and not getting much in return. At least not in the long run. But I'm here to tell you guys, don't worry. The state of video games is strong. I mean, even the AAA corporations and everything, they're still making money over fist, whatever how the expression goes. They're still in a healthy state. These layoffs are pretty much just to make them more healthier, to just show that they're in a, they have all these profits and they're lean and green. It's just, unfortunately, part of the corporate business to clean up their books and make sure their investors are fed. It's a sad state of events, but I'm hoping that the AA industry is able to change that. They're, even though there are little companies and corporations, they're less corporate structured than big corporations like Microsoft and Embracer and all these damn publishers, Ubisoft, Activision, EA. I would hope that they're more like a family when they're smaller. But once you start growing too big for your bridges and you start losing sight of why you even started these studios in the first place, you get big messes like the AAA industry. That's going to do it for this episode. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.